right. Welcome or welcome back. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna clear the space with the sound bowl. Feel free to cover your ears or take out your earbuds if you have any sound sensitivities. All right. So, generally, speaking of sound, feel free to let me know how things are going with the audio today. I am in a new space, so there's a lot to work out there, but I would like to pop in just for a moment to say thanks to everybody who's helped to make this year fun and productive and interesting and exciting through, the way that this channel is able to do that. I am going to be shuffling from the Frequency Tarot deck by Teal Swan and see if we can kind of get an anchor energy for this reading. It's going to be kind of a quick one. I'm sure it's not going to get to a lot of people considering how I spent the first couple of minutes really quieting down and tuning in. I usually don't do readings for people or really even interact with people when I'm in this phase of processing a lot of information, and I'll go through phases of playing devil's advocate and trying to stand up for myself and overly idealizing things, people, places, things, situations, and then devaluing people, places, and things, and going through this whole process of coming into a space of integration and being able to move without thinking, but also without being on autopilot. And that can be a really fine line for people to discern. And so usually I'll go through these cycles and I will learn from them and I'll stretch myself, and then I'll come back to what is really most true to me. And so that process is usually kept really private, but if I'm in a space where there's so much information, there's so much exhaustion and overwhelm as well, that process never really gets to the point where I'm in a space of integration and able to act in a way that is not reactive, and it is also not overly slow, holding back, overly cautious. We're always trying to look for the balance, right? I might get the camera a little closer next time, let me know. But we did get 13 confidence. I'll leave it on the community tab if you'd like to see the imagery here. So that's interesting. Because confidence, oftentimes I've noticed, is really more of a performance for a lot of people, because most people do not, they believe that they're fundamentally unlovable, no matter what mental gymnastics or stuff that they tell themselves. When we don't live in an environment where the entire community and our parents and the people, places, and things around us are all geared towards serving the children that we bring into the world, then those psyches develop a really deep pattern, a really deep reaction, a really deep belief about the world and how it works and what it means. And we carry that around, whether that's like consciously how we talk about it or not. And so if people look confident on the outside, I usually end up getting really suspicious and paranoid about that. But then I also don't want to spend a lot of time around it, because I know I have the tendency to overthink things. But I have this sense of like, I have been misunderstood in the past as someone who's like seeking attention, performing confidence or whatever. And I mean, I can understand where that comes from. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person without flaws. I definitely have my own issues that I'm working through. The thing is, I don't want to hide those things. It's just when people see and misapply patterns that they see in like large groups of people, and then they try to put me in that category. But it's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I fought against this for so long. I don't want to be in public. I don't want to talk to people. I not only do I not have the desire to be seen, I have the desire to not be seen. But I believe that that comes from quite an unhealthy place in myself. So this is a practice of like challenging myself and getting outside of myself and paying it forward in the way where other people I've seen and witnessed and connected to online or in person, who have shared their process with me and helped me to move through things that I was not able to move through in any other way. And so it's important to me to pass that forward. It's important to me to share that. But it's not something I would say I exactly enjoy. It's not comfortable. It's not a desire of mine, if that makes any sense. So confidence can be a performance. You can also look not confident on the outside for various reasons, but actually have this like self-love and self-respect and self-knowledge. It's like we either feel unlovable ourselves and despise ourselves and overcompensate for that, or we put that out onto other people and we work through our own stuff, but then we kind of despise other people and we don't trust those external energies, and that can be its own issue. And it's like, to have confidence in self and other, to move in faith. Okay, and another thing is that a lot of times I want to overcompensate for somebody else's lack of confidence in something, and like try to be that bolster for them, or try to see things from somebody, like work so hard to see things from somebody else's perspective. It's that playing devil's advocate energy, right? That I start to lose connection with where I'm coming from personally. It's so easy for me to lose where I'm coming from personally because of my story of how it's not only not important, but also like a burden and a detriment and a distraction to the more important things, like emotionally caring for my parents and siblings and friends and community members. Like if I can't hold everything together for everybody else, then how am I ever supposed to expect that I will be able to get my own needs met? But in doing that, it's like your needs aren't met because you don't allow yourself to be fully seen. So I've been holding back and not doing readings because I recognized that due to certain things going on in my personal life, I was at a point of exhaustion and overwhelm to the point where I couldn't even have those proactive boundaries. Like, it's like when I get so tired. When I was younger, people would say like, you act like you're drunk. I don't drink, but you know, that was what it gave off. And that's possession. I talk about chosen ones and the possessed on my channel, and I don't mean that to be black and white. Chosen ones choose themselves. It's not, I mean, it is an egoic thing, but I would say generally it's meant to be a positive ego thing. Sometimes we need to understand that we have the ability to make choices in our lives and to like take responsibility for that. See, yeah, I'm rambling a little bit here. I waited until I really felt ready, but then now I'm starting to feel it slip. I have to be so aware in the moment, in every moment, and continually asking myself. And that's how you stay present, right? You're continually asking yourself, what do I think about this? What do I feel about this? What do I need? What do I want? What is this triggering in me? Like, what are we doing here? And if you end up on autopilot, especially if you allow yourself to conflate that with like being in a flow state, it's not really the same thing. It kind of is, just in that it's easy and it flows because you already have the structures in place to make it happen. But obviously those structures are usually not in a very healthy place for yourself, especially if you're doing reflective things like tarot and stuff. Like, you're not out in the world investing 100% of your energy in what you're creating, because what you're creating right now is figuring out what you really truly should be focusing on and where you went wrong and stuff like that. And I know people that get stuck in that forever, and you don't want to do that. But you also don't want to force yourself out of it. So this is all about just being really honest with ourselves. Just being really, really honest with ourselves. And the only way to do that is to remain calm and to remain present. And I know that when you're really overwhelmed and exhausted, like I think most people are in the world in general today, it's very easy to fall into autopilot, and then you're so tired and you get defensive, right? And I'll do things like, I'll be overwhelmed by a conversation and feel like I don't have the mental and emotional bandwidth to show up to this the way that I would like to. And then I get uncomfortable about that. And I revert to this fawning, this trolling, this, what do you want me to be? I'll be that. What do you not want me to be? I'll be that. Like, it's all very clearly reactive, right? And then when I get to those moments, I know that I'm already in a place where my life is set up in an unsustainable manner. So we're talking about sustainability today. Okay. So I'm not going to come on and channel energies for other people when I'm already in this overwhelmed state that is leading me honestly into possession, not just like patterns and structures outside of myself, but okay, let's see. Make sure we have space for everything here. But like, I was talking to my friend the other day about this concept of psychic echolalia that I've developed, where you don't do enough of the protection work that you need to be doing, and then you'll be interacting with somebody and you'll literally just start channeling. You ever talk to somebody and you're like reactive and you say something and you go, what was that? I didn't even mean that. I don't even feel that. I don't even think that. Like, why did I say those words? What does that mean about, like, me? I can look at it and I can defend it and deny it and say, that's not what I think and that's not what I feel. But people aren't going to be receptive to that unless you start to really get down to understanding, well, like, where's that coming from? And who spoke that over you, or who planted that, or what made you desire to come across a certain way? Usually I will just back away and create a lot of space, but I've been trying to not do that, and so I push myself too far sometimes. And when I'm past that point, then I will troll and I will fawn because I don't feel like I have the space to be myself. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that those people, places, and things are like a negative influence on your life. It really doesn't. Not necessarily. But it does mean that certain people, places, and things are just not gonna serve you or them. It's not gonna be compatible, it's not gonna be productive, whatever. And I'm always here for people to come back around and try to talk about something from 20, 30 years ago. Like, I'm open, but I have to be well resourced enough to do that, right? And I have to be honest, right now, I'm not feeling incredibly well resourced, and I definitely was not in the recent past. So, in an effort to, prevent any of this psychic echolalia, I am going to be extra committed to and paying attention to rest and like creating the safe space. If you don't have the safe space out in the world, then you create it for yourself. Oh, okay. Let's see here. So, We are going to be getting back to the readings that I've been really enjoying and appreciating, because when I'm really overwhelmed and I don't know how to get across what I'm thinking and feeling and who I am and what I want and what I need, I always come back to the same thing. What I need, what I want, when I focused on what I care about, even in the moments when I am about to lose consciousness, is to create and protect and nurture and sustain a space of love. And that's what we're here to do. So I'm going to keep this space safe by being very intentional with it. We're at 30 minutes on the clock, 20 minutes on the clock. Okay. So I'm gonna look into these cards just a little bit, and then we will get to reading Attentiveness to Man from book 1 of the Ringing Cedars of Russia series, Anastasia, in the near future. I'd like to be able to do it with some nature sounds and stuff, so that creates some limitations. I hope everybody is nice and recovered from the ice storm if you were living in an area affected by that. I am going to light a little bit of this dragon blood sage, because not only am I working through some really dark, heavy energies, but I know that not just this collective, but a lot of larger collectives are going through this same kind of purging and exposure, testing, challenging, clarifying, and it can be overwhelming, right? And that doesn't mean it's bad and we shouldn't be where we are. It just means we haven't been here before and we don't have an autopilot in place for whatever this is. And in a lot of ways, that is such a good thing. That is such a beautiful thing. So, grateful for that. I'm gonna ring the bell one more time, so warning. Okay, in the near past, we have the Knight of Cups, Judgment, 3 of Swords in reverse, King of Pentacles. Okay, so right off the bat, and 4 of Pentacles reversed from the Light Seers deck. So before we even move on, just right here, I see in your recent past, you had a certain level of groundedness and stability in something. But that groundedness and stability came from the transmutation of this broken heart energy. The 3 of Swords reversed can also speak to negative self-talk, releasing pain, forgiveness, optimism, recovery, moving on, right? So there may be some themes in there for you, but also in the recent past, you were in a place of having to find optimism, having to find forgiveness, having to seek recovery, to move on. And you made this decision to get grounded, to get stable, to not covet the things that you want to hold on to, but to release and let go of what you have had in the past, so that you can move forward into the future with this innocence, with this optimism, with this vulnerability, with this open heart. Okay, so you knew where you were going and what you were trying to do. And there was a good reason for it, and it was coming from a healthy place. And there, you know, there's these reversed energies, but these are like challenging, negative energies with the Three of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. And so you're like releasing attachment to being unseen and unheard, being betrayed, abandoned, rejected, what have you. It's going to be a little different for all of you. But you started loosening your grip on this identity, starting to find some grounding, starting to open your heart. I'm truly making a decision. This is my priority right now, right? Okay. And then in the present position, we have the World, 8 of Candles, the Sun, 2 of Swords, and then King of Pentacles from the Light Seers deck. We have King of Pentacles in the recent past, and then we have King of Pentacles in the present from 2 different decks. So you really are finding some stability, some security, some individuation, some warmth. I mean, especially in the present position, you're finding this like campfire at home with your dog kind of energy. And the World, the 8 of Candles, the Sun, excuse me, and the 2 of Swords speak to this like change, this fast moving change to your identity, this decision that you have to make, or that you're struggling to make around your commitment to this change. You made the decision in the recent past, and now you are moving forward at full speed. Not so much in a space of healing and letting go, but coming even more into a space of choosing positivity, pleasure, vitality, fun, joy, warmth, celebration, success, rebirth, all is well. And like inner child, I don't even want to say inner child healing. I feel like the soul, the sun, the inner child, the healing you do is about accessing this eternal part of yourself. And I can totally understand the frustration, because I had such a lack of connection to that part of myself when I was a child that I literally didn't have any way to conceptualize what I was even looking for if somebody told me I needed to look for it. You know what I mean? It did not compute. It did not click. Like self-fulfillment, like inner fulfillment and like satisfaction and pleasure and happiness. I was taught in a lot of ways to view that as selfish, arrogant, egotistical, just like really selfish. Like if you're successful, if you're happy, if you have something good going on, then that's a personal affront, an attack on other people who are less fortunate than you. And if you believe that you have power and you have a choice about how you respond to situations, and you have a choice about your mindset and how you move through the world, if you believe that, then you are victim blaming and you are delusional and you are this and that. And that absolutely comes from a reasonable place. Sometimes that is what's happening, you know? Usually people will put stories on us that don't feel resonant because that was another story that they witnessed somewhere else. We're all doing so much pattern recognition all the time, and it can be used in a good way and it can be used in a harmful way, okay? So right now you might be feeling this moon energy, this 2 of Swords energy. It's kind of like a deadlock. You're like blindfolded, you don't know where you're going, you know you have a decision to make. But because that card is combined with the Sun and the Eight of Candles in the world and the King of Pentacles. It's like there is stability, there is something, some meat to this, there's something behind what is moving through you right now, and you may feel at a crossroads. That's really what it's giving right now, is crossroads energy. And you can choose to react to the struggles that were presented by making the choices that you made in the recent past as a loss, as a failure, as a discouragement. Or you can have this choice to focus on what makes you feel grounded and stable and what makes you feel joyful and fulfilled. And okay, so it's always a choice. It's always up to you. The cards just show you what is available to you, what the energy is, and there are a million ways that that can play out, and you have a huge hand in that. And the way that you choose to move through this is also the way that you are impacting the world and the feedback that you're providing the world to work with. And so what do you want to give? And who do you want to be? And do you believe that it is your choice? Because if you don't believe it, then it's not. But if you do believe it, then it is. So what do you believe right now? What are you going to choose to believe? 77 on the bottom of the frequency deck. Beginnings. Interesting. Yeah, beginnings. It's a new beginning. It may be a new beginning in a negative sense for some people, but I don't think so. I feel like we're all being pushed into these situations where increasingly we're going to have no other choice but to confront the shadows that we've been running away from, if we have been. And so it's just going to be uglier for the people that are resisting. But I really don't think it's an option anymore. Like we're not going to make it in this reality at all if we believe that we are trapped and we are stuck in these old loops and these old patterns. But just because we know that we can change and we must change doesn't mean that we should be forcing things, doesn't mean that we should be overzealous, doesn't mean that we should be self-punishing, right? I don't know what it takes for you to stay grounded, but whatever that is, focus on that right now. We have in the near future position, Judgment, the Eight of Feathers, the Two of Swords again, the Three of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, and Knight of Pentacles from the Light Seers deck. Wow, that's interesting. So we have King of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. Like the past energy was the King of Pentacles brought into the present. And then the future energy is the Two of Swords, as well as the present energy. So we're moving kind of from, maybe almost from a space of like stubbornness and self-assuredness in an excessive way. Earth energy. So it can be like a level of stubbornness. Like a level of stubbornness about pushing your agenda forward. Even if that agenda comes from a genuine place and an intuitive place, a benevolent place, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. So and there's judgment in the past and the future too, right? So it's almost giving this like wait holding period right now. There's a lot changing inside of you right now. There was a lot changing outside of you in the recent past that stimulated things, and that is creating this process right now of you really anchoring into like what is important to me. I do not have any room for anything else. Let's get in the carriage and let's go. Let's get on the horse and let's go. Let's get off of the stool and walk forward. Okay. You may still struggle in the near future with difficult decisions, weighing of options, avoidance, deadlock, this maybe energy. And I think that's because, well, wait, Eight of Feathers. Eight of Feathers is a card of mental entrapment, of self-imposed limitations, of kind of like fear. This one is from the biblical deck, and it says, Jonah 2:2. He said, in my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead, I called for help, and you listened to my cry. Judgment. Right. So judgment is this person in a grave, and then the angels coming down from heaven and sounding the horn. It's like making a call, calling you up, right? And in this Eight of Feathers card, it's about looking up and praying and asking for assistance. Judgment is kind of about being offered assistance and receiving it. Okay. So you're going to ask for assistance and you're going to receive assistance. You're looking into the future. You're looking into the future, considering Ten of Pentacles, considering legacy, considering what you want for the long term, what you want in a practical sense, what kind of intergenerational wealth you are seeking to create. Ten of Pentacles. And then Knight of Pentacles is like slowly, consistently, with commitment, taking little steps every day, putting the work in. It's very slow, it's very boring. So you're going to be doing this slow, boring work of figuring out and moving towards what it is you really value and what you really want to create in the world. You're going to be considering this. You're going to be considering your options and which way you can move forward, which way you're going to choose to move forward. I'm going to get a couple more from this biblical deck because, oh, pardon me. I feel like I'm missing something. But when I'm looking at this all as a whole, it looks like you were really attached to some way of being in the past. And you made a decision to change. But right now, you're going through a process of figuring out what that could even look like. Like you don't have the input from the past to know what it is you do want exactly. It's more about the fact that you know what you don't want. You knew what you didn't want. You made a decision to not become bitter and resentful and stuck in that past. But in trying to move forward really fast and change and like expose your identity to the world in a true way, you may have come up against some boundaries, some blockages, some obstacles, some misunderstandings, some And I think that in your near future, you're going to come to a place of a little bit more peace, really leaning on the divine and your guides and your support and your higher self, and you're gonna really need that communication, that guidance, that support. You're gonna need to lean on that so that you can stay committed to that 10 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, 3 of Wands. Making this decision is going to be hard to maintain. It's going to take a lot of work in the physical realm. It's going to take a lot of patience. And you may feel like you're already in the belly of the beast, the whale. What is that? Jonah got swallowed by a fish, right? By a whale. Oh, and there's some symbolism in that as well, as far as like emotions. Like you may be swallowed up and overwhelmed by the emotions that you're intentionally pulling out and processing, so that those patterns don't secretly come up in a sneak attack, or, you know, come through when you're not paying attention, when your defenses are down. You don't want to be defensive all the time, right? But you have to be if you're never in a safe place to process the things that you need to process. So this is about getting really, 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 really serious and really committed to creating that safe space, those times and those places where you're specifically committed to letting those defenses down. If you have to leave your defenses up most of the time, it's even more essential to counteract that, or else that's going to become a new mode of being for you, and that's in reaction to the world around you. So you have to deal with the world around you, but you don't want to be reactive to it. You've got to temper your interaction with it. I got recently kind of a reading that said something about like 1 foot on the brakes and 1 foot on the gas. And in reality, that's a really bad idea, like in a car. But when you take the concepts of what you do individually with those and then combine them, not in a physical sense, in a physical car, it is really just a metaphor of titration, of balance, of temperance. It's a temperance energy. And that's what you're being asked to embody right now. And also to have compassion with yourself and understand how challenging and unfamiliar this process is. So be kind to yourself. We have 6 of Feathers, Ruth the Moabite. It says Ruth 1:16. But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." 6 of Feathers is usually a card of like people getting in a boat and sailing off to calmer waters, right? So this is you and your higher self, you and your inner child. It's like you making a commitment to yourself. Yeah, in this recent past was about making a decision, making a judgment, to commit to yourself and to leave the people, places, things, situations behind that claim a communal identity with you, but are not resonant in that, are not actually of that family, of that community, of that resonance with you. It's all talk. It's not embodied. And so you decided to stop arguing. You decided to stop holding on to things. You decided to let go of this and recommit to yourself. Okay. Knight of Chalices, young David. Oh yeah, we got doubles of Knight of Cups as well. Whenever the spirit from God came on Saul, David would take up his lyre and play. Then relief would come to Saul. He would feel better and the evil spirit would leave him. Samuel 16:23. This is definitely speaking to the fact that you have the intention to create something, to be something, and you have the power to do that. But a lot of people get lost in the part where you have to take action. In order to find this relief, you have to find your instruments and use them. You have to practice. You have to engage. And this is like faith in action. What do they say? Faith without works is dead. And you don't want to be dead. You want to get out of this judgment gravestone. Page of Chalices. Wow, so much water energy. And earth. Water and earth. It's like grounding, stability, creating a safe place for your emotions. Creating a safe place for your emotions. The Lord came and stood there, calling as at the other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, Speak, for your servant is listening. Yeah, again, this is about you and your communication with spirit. No matter what's going on in your life, in the world, no matter what you're consuming, what messages, what media, what people in your workplace or your family or the government, or like the people that you're interacting with physically in your world, don't become bitter, don't totally block things out, but find that temperance and that titration and that ability to maintain and hold that compassion for other people, to be open to seeing their perspective, but also being vigilant about your needs and being honest about what are my boundaries and what are my triggers, and I need to be able to see that, acknowledge it, and move in accordance with what I'm seeing before I see it, when I just feel it. Before I see it, before I understand it, if I feel off, just be a little extra self-protective right now. And I know you made a decision in the past to not move from a place of self-protection. But again, if all you know is what you don't want, then you're just reacting to the past. So you need to create the space for and spend a lot of time feeling into what it is that you want to create, using your imagination to imagine and understand from a felt sense what your goals are, what your needs are, what your desires are. And don't spend a lot of time speaking with a lot of other people about that. But do speak with yourself, do speak with your guides, do speak with your angels, do speak with the Most High, do speak with your highest self. Stay in communication there, because that is your family that will never leave you. And I know the family within you that will never leave you can become kind of a crutch to people who want to be hyper independent, and they want to be bitter, and they want to be alone, and they do that for years and years and years. If you don't want to be that person, you don't have to be that person. But it's all about balance. You're going to overdo things. You're going to need to forgive yourself. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to think that you know what you want, and maybe you don't. So right now, you might be moving too fast. You might be running into deadlock energy because you are in such a strong, self-assured, stubborn, quick-moving energy. Earth, fire, water, air. Earth, fire, water, air. Earth, water, air. there are all of the elements in the present and in the future, but in the past, there was no fire. So what you really did, whether you realize it or not, is you made a decision to move through and lead your life with spiritual fire. And that is the new energy and the new way that you are not accustomed to. But the way that you learn how to embody that energy, if you haven't seen it before, is to find people, places, and things that do embody it. Not to try to become them, not to try and like be chosen by them, not to be, but to learn those patterns and those possibilities and those potentials from outside influences so that you can start to